The Philadelphia 76ers have a decision to make this offseason.
Oh, can't wait.
They got upset by the Atlanta Hawks. We all know that they lost in Game 7. They blew 2 leads in, I believe, Game 5 and Game 4.
Wasn't it 3 in a row?
No, they won.
It was 2 in a row.
Oh, 2 in a row.
They blew Game 1.
They have
Game 2.
What, I know they have like top 10 biggest leads blown in the playoffs, right?
NBA history?
Yeah, I think they
That's
do.
crazy.
No way.
I think Doc has like 5 on there.
Oh, that.
Because of the Clippers and,
Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
the
we
last
all
10
know
years.
the 76ers have a lot of decisions to make. And some people think they should fire Doc Rivers. Some people think they should trade Ben Simmons, no doubt about it. And some think they should do both. What do you guys think? Should the Sixers fire Doc Rivers, trade Ben Simmons, or do both?
I think with Doc Rivers, we saw Joel Embiid have the best season of his NBA career. I think we saw Philly turn into that great team in the regular season, become a number 1 seed, granted injuries, but they've had their fair share. I think we saw an improvement in a lot of people's games. So I think Doc Rivers should stay, but Ben has to go. I think Ben's
Surprise.
Ben's stock is a little low right now, but I think you can still. I keep seeing everybody say Ben for CJ, and I'm a little 50-50 on that. I think CJ brings in a different dynamic to the offense. He's a really good shooter at the 3-point line. He's a guy who can get his bucket at the mid-range. He can go to the basket. He can run the pick and roll really well. It may lack on defense, but on offense, you get a big upgrade. So I think, but Ben has to go. I think you've reached your ceiling with him. I think at this point, Ben being a guy whose limitations are at this point just mental, and he doesn't. And there's actually a report. I hate using Stephen A. Smith, but there was a report saying that Ben Simmons actually gets coddled a lot. He doesn't work out. He just is off pure raw talent. So if you got a guy like that who doesn't work on his game, who doesn't try to elevate his game, his teammates, you got to ship him out. And I think at this point, him being 25 years old, if I'm not mistaken. 24 years old, he's still young. I'm sure a lot of teams would bank on a guy who is considered around the league an elite defender, a really good playmaker. So I think you can get something of good value to him, but I think you need somebody that revolves around Joel Embiid, a guy who can get a bucket just like him and who can run up there with him and Tobias Harris and fit into that group they have right now.
So this is tough for me.
Of course it is.
It is tough. Can't lie.
Show the camera what you're wearing.
Listen, I'm a fair.
Oh, so that's a Ben Simmons shirt.
It is. Listen, I'm a good sport. You have a bad take. You have an interesting take. I won't say bad. It's an interesting take. You just got to go down with the ship. It is what it is. That being said, this is a tough question for me because before this morning, I felt like either would be an overreaction. Doing either would be an overreaction. More so on the Doc side. It's Doc's first season. His first season with Philadelphia, he makes him the 1 seed. You see Joel Embiid have a breakout year. This is easily the best basketball we've seen Joel Embiid play on both sides of the court. You see other role players start to really learn their role within the squad. Then you just have one piece that was consistent all regular season, but come postseason, completely changed the way that his game or his approach to the game. You have Ben Simmons, who you watch Game 7. There were moments where I felt like, Ben's just missing his shots. This was the most we've seen him be aggressive for whatever that was, the first 3 quarters of the game. He went 2 for 16. He did not take an attempt in the fourth quarter. He had a blatant attempt for a dunk in the fourth quarter on Trae Young that was wide open. And instead of taking the dunk, which would have probably propelled Philly, who knows, to maybe a win, completely, you're at home. They're one of the more dominant teams at home over the last few seasons. You see a guy like Ben who's been struggling, throw it down the stretch of the fourth quarter, would have changed everything. But instead, he sees Trae Young, he shits himself a little bit, passes the ball. Inexcusable. It makes no sense. There's no doubt about it. He should have dunked that basketball. Now, you hear Stephen A's comments this morning, and you hear lacks work ethic.
That was from a source. He said from source.
And we know Stephen A's history of text messages, a.k.a. Kyrie and KD going to the Knicks. But regardless, Stephen A's he's well respected. You hear that he's nurtured way too much. He has a bad game. He needs to be babied. He needs someone in his ear telling him all the time that he's the best. It's hard to hear things like that. You're a grown man. I understand you're 24 in NBA. You're a kid. You're a grown man. Get it together. Come on. And listen, I still love Ben Simmons' ceiling. I mean, he if he gets out of his own head, he could really be special. But what I saw from him that Game 7 was sad. It was hard to watch. And so I feel like if any of the two were to happen, it unfortunately have to be Ben getting traded. But it was one series where he completely shut down and he was the worst he's ever been. If he really gets his mind right, if he really cares about the grind, he goes this offseason and works. But how many times are we going to say that now? You know what I mean? So I feel like if anything, I'm going to defend Doc here. I think Ben, you leaning towards a trade makes a lot of sense, especially because if he doesn't come to work next season, you're not getting anything for him. You're getting nothing. This offseason, at least he was an all-NBA, all defensive player of the year. Excuse me, all-defense team.
He was top 3 in the voting.
Top 3 in the defensive player of the year voting as well. It's like he's done things in the past. He was an all-NBA player. He's made the all-star team 2 years in a row. This guy has the accolades for a trade package. But if he doesn't go into the gym next season and really work on his game, there's nothing you can get for him.
Should have been in the gym now.
You know, the thing about it is that everybody now is starting to see Ben Simmons for who he is.
Oh boy.
But
I've
this
been on this.
this isn't
How long?
this isn't new for me. We had a segment on the podcast 4 months ago that talked about will Ben Simmons ever reach his ceiling with the Sixers? And I said, absolutely not. I said he was a better version of Draymond, and I regret those comments because he's not even Draymond. Ben Simmons isn't even close to Draymond. I would take Draymond 10 times out of 10 over Ben Simmons. I always knew Ben Simmons wasn't going to be that guy because he's always been lacking that aggressiveness. And when we first started the podcast, back when this studio was red, one of our first segments was, who should Philly trade, Ben Simmons or Embiid? That was the thing. I picked Ben Simmons. They should trade him. So
I don't remember who I picked.
That's obvious, though.
I mean, for me at the time, it really wasn't.
No,
it was
people
really
were really
a debate.
debating it.
It was really a debate.
Only because Ben.
It was before this year.
Embiid had injury issues. That'd be the only reason you contemplate.
Ben Simmons, the most shots he took this series was 11. He had 18, 4, and 7 that game. But then his last 3 games, Game 7, Game 6, Game 5, he shot 4 shots, 6 shots, and 4 shots. Something's definitely wrong. They shouldn't fire Doc Rivers. This series is not on Doc Rivers. He led them to the first seed. He put them in position to win. Embiid playing on a meniscus tear.
That was crazy.
I mean, he played amazing. This is a personnel issue and an effort issue. And can some of that be on the coaching? Yes. But I think Ben Simmons just brings this team down. There are some people who just have dark clouds over them, and wherever they go, they just ruin the energy of everybody else. That's Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is the guy that
bad vibe guy.
Ben Simmons is the guy that when he joins your PlayStation party, you kick him out, and then you put the party on private so he doesn't come back.
One of those guys.
Ben Simmons is a bad vibe for this Sixers team. He should be dealt, and I have some trade packages. Obviously, CJ McCollum is one of them, but let's not talk about that because that's been the most popular one everywhere. I have this one. Ben Simmons to the Sacramento Kings for Buddy Hield.
That's it?
Maybe they can get Marvin Bagley in return.
So you mean
why would I do that? Why would I do that?
You get Buddy Hield?
Now the Sixers, who's their ball handler?
They can find one easily.
So you mean they're gonna roll out a big 3 of Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Buddy Hield?
No, you can have. They're still gonna have Seth, Buddy, Tobias,
Buddy's
Embiid.
a walking cone.
Buddy Hield,
he's inconsistent as
Buddy
sin.
Hield shoots 40%.
Let me hear other ones.
It's some nights he's Klay Thompson, some nights he's
That's
Buddy
really
Hield.
the only one I have.
Some nights that's a good comparison.
That's the only
Look
one
at the
I
stats,
have.
It's true.
You know, if I were the
It's true.
Sixers,
Some nights he's Klay, aka he doesn't miss. Other nights he's Buddy Hield.
Clay locks, bro. You gotta remember that
just
part.
talking offensively.
Oh, okay.
this is what I think. Buddy Hield wouldn't be bad for Ben Simmons because he's a 40% 3-point shooter. If I was the Sixers, I would look into that trade. Maybe get a second player, Buddy Hield and somebody else. I don't know who that's gonna be. Just somebody else. And I'd have a starting lineup of Seth. I think he can run the 1. You have Seth. Danny Green is not going to be there. So Buddy Hield starts at the 2. Matisse at the 3. Tobias at the 4. And Embiid at the 5. So you have Matisse who can be that defender And then it's just going to be an offensive team. They're going to have to play.
That team is terrible.
I don't think
that team is terrible.
I don't like
I think they're better
That
than
is
with
two walking cones.
And Matisse is not a starter, truthfully.
Yeah,
not a
Yes,
starter.
he is.
He's just
not a
like Ben
starter.
Simmons on offense, bro. He's not.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
he takes a shot.
It doesn't.
You could take the shot, but still not make it.
I don't know about that one. That lineup. Those are two walking cones in the backcourt. Then you got Matisse and then Tobias. That's tough. Need a guard. Need a one.
Need a
The thing
guard.
is that
bad.
this is the thing. Sometimes players need to change the scenery.
Yeah.
Buddy
I agree.
Hield, I don't think he's limited physically to where he can't be a good defender. If
I
he's
just think he
playing,
won't.
I mean,
if
he
he's
averages,
playing,
I think, over a steal and a half a game.
Doesn't mean
if
play
he's
defense.
playing on a team that wins and there's something to play for,
You think he'll
I
play
think
D?
he'd play defense.
I still think they need a playmaker
I think you can find that in free agency,
to start or just come off the bench.
maybe to start.
This season, you could find a playmaker.
Kyle Lowry could be one of those guys.
That's a good one.
Okay.
I would like, that. I would like that
I like
more.
that.
Yeah, I would like that at the one.
I like that.
Seth and Buddy at the 1 and 2.
Word, I
Not
agree.
feeling that.
With your initial lineup, I didn't like, but you throw
Now
Kyle
that,
Lowry.
now that you're putting Kyle Lowry in the mix,
You throw Kyle Lowry in there with Seth, with Buddy, with Tobias, Ben.
that lineup sucks too. One of them has to come off the bench.
Sucks is strong.
One of them has to come
Who?
off the bench. You're putting Buddy at the 3? Make Seth come off the bench. Or Buddy. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you probably could have Seth come off the bench,
Yeah.
and then you have
Run the-
Korkmaz
the-
maybe
yeah,
run it. Yeah,
Him and George Hill run the bench.
yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all.
You don't think Tyrese Maxey can grow to be the starting one?
Oh, I agree.
That's a good one.
What's unfortunate
defense,
is
too.
last show I was like, you know what? Maxey was so solid against the Wizards. I don't understand why they're not playing him
He
more.
plays defense.
They
too.
gave him two. There was like single-digit minutes in the first however many games
He's
he
rookie.
played. I get
Look,
it.
these
but
are
he
the
was,
players.
He was significant.
These are the players in free agency that they could target that are guards. Derrick Rose, maybe Lonzo Ball, Dinwiddie, Patty Mills.
Lonzo's a free
Shooter,
agent,
yeah.
unrestricted.
Lonzo's going to demand money.
Goran Dragic has a team option that is $18 million.
I
Miami
doubt
declines that probably. Lowry, Conley, and CP3.
Lonzo absolutely would be perfect.
Lonzo's going to demand a lot of money. I don't think Philly has it.
See, for me,
Why? Because they
they're
would
paying
be
Tobias and Embiid the max.
Agreed, but so they're
And if
paying
they
Ben
get-
the max
if
also.
they get Buddy's a $20 million man.
That's a fact.
That's why for me, I think you can even have Maxey, Buddy, Thibault, Tobias.
I'd rather that. Yeah, I'd rather
and
that.
then Seth off the bench. You know, I think,
Do you think
Ma-
Maxey could be a starter?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely, I think so.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
I like Maxey.
Here we go.
No doubt about
No
it.
doubt about it.
No, but I love Maxey's game, but I think Buddy Hield, he can space the floor for Embiid, and that's what they need. If you got guys who can really space the floor, that would be great for Embiid, and I think it would be good for them. It would be a really good lineup.
One thing I will say, and this is the only thing I will say to defend Ben, that's it, because there's no other defending Ben. In this game, I saw a lot of Ben driving to the basket, him drawing the double team, him kicking out to his boys, and his boys missing wide open shots.
No, he's a good playmaker.
And he had 13 assists.
He's a good playmaker.
He had 13 assists, and his boys were just missing wide open shots.
Did you watch his post game?
Ben's after they lost? I completely lost.
Did you watch his post game?
No.
When he brought up the Nets?
Actually, yeah, I did.
When he brought up the Nets, it's that type of mentality, bro. Like it's just like, why are you talking about?
His soft?
Why are you
mentally,
talking about
he's
the
soft.
Nets? Why are you talking about I had 13 assists? How much did Trey shoot? Trey was burning you for most of the series, bro.
No doubt.
So it's like, bro.
Ben came to play Game 7, except for the fact he was not aggressive.
And that's what's been the problem.
100%
his whole
agree.
life.
Agreed.
I'm reading this article right now because I just typed in Buddy Hield defense, and it's talking about true or false Buddy Hield defensive narrative. It talks about how he's a good on-ball defender, but he just lacks understanding on help defense. But the thing about him is that I think in Philly he could become a way better defender, and he's not just a spot-up shooter. He's one of those guys where you can give the ball to,
sure.
and he can create a bucket. He
I'm
can
with
get
you.
a basket. I mean, Sacramento, he averaged 20 points per game. You got Tobias and Hield who can average 20, with Embiid who can average 30. Now you got something.
And Sacramento is a very high-powered offense.
Now you got something. I think Buddy Hield would really thrive in Philly. I would love that for them. And I think if they can't get McCollum, because I think McCollum could play the 1 as well, they should get Buddy Hield and then just move Maxey to the 1 or sign a veteran point guard to be that 1.